Hey guys, Grestar here, and how about we play Arcadia Fallen? So a couple quick things. One, I do not have a green screen. Just be aware, you're gonna see some like hazies around my body when I move and everything, but I figure it's still better and it's technically frees up more space than just having this whole rectangle be blocked out. But this is Arcadia Fallen, The Legend of the Spirit Alchemist. It is a visual novel in development currently by a Danish studio. I believe they're Danish studio by the name of Galdra Studios. This is their debut project, and full disclosure, I have already played this game for 90 minutes, and I recorded that gameplay, and then I was stupid, and a couple of things happened, but ultimately I accidentally deleted the whole file. So that was fun. So we're going to be starting again. I do not think I will be playing up to the same point that I played last time. I don't think it'll be 90 minutes again, because like one, it's later. This is like a week later that I'm recording this too, because I've been busy with real life and stuff. It's really hot right now, and I have to have the fan off and everything for quality assurance with this and everything, and just the fact that I've already played it. But I had a really good time playing this. I think that it was a good game. Kickstarter links and the download or the demo download links in the description below. The Kickstarter, as I'm recording this today, there are 17 days left. It'll probably be uploaded tomorrow, where there will be 16 days left. It is already fully funded. I think $15,000 out of the $13,000 goal, just so you know. But if you want to jump on some of the perks, you know, like go check out the Kickstarter and everything. But yeah, let's get right into it. So, but just to show you, see, friggin' 90 minutes there, an hour 25. Like, yeah, feel bad. But I guess the only autosave is at 0. I guess we'll just jump into that then. Oh, actually no, hold on. I have to quit actually, because I need to show you guys that they have like cool character customization kind of features. Oh, we have a guest? That we do, it's me, Grestar. Welcome, thank you. Yeah, so I've been through all this before, and I'm probably gonna pick the same options too, but I still wanted to get out a video of this for you guys. Oh, and I think I may have just found the perfect main character. I totally missed that. I'm gonna tell a story or something? I don't know. What do we call you? Call me Riz. Not Morgan, though it is funny, because Morgan is a good friend of mine. Oh, and actually, they, Galdra Studios, compared this game to Dragon Age, not in terms of gameplay, obviously, but like story. Morgan, again, good friend, huge fan of Dragon Age, so yeah, anyway, I'm gonna be Riz. A fine name, thank you. It's just Sir backwards, really. Let us put a face to it, aside from this gorgeous one. We shall make our character here. As soon as it lets us. Here we go. Yeah, so like first, I really like the art style, it's cool. Other things I like, pronouns, you get to pick those, and it's she, her, he, him, or they, them, so it's inclusive in that sense. And two, with the body, it's just feminine and masculine. It's not asking are you male or female, it's just like what's your body type, and then what are your pronouns, and I think that's really cool. I will be a masculine he, him. And I think these are the colors I chose last time, actually. Yeah, cool. So let's go with that again. Yeah, so like this one is for the hair color, this one is for like that jacket kind of color, or the vest color. I think I had this. This is for skin, and I am the pasty white boy. And then for my eyes, pick blue. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. I didn't think it would save like the character customization options I picked, basically. Like once I switched to the masculine form. Riz, are you ready to become a legend? No. And I also like when you hit no, because I did this last time too. It just brings you back to this. It's like, alright, fine, I'm ready to be a legend now. Let's go. And now we'll actually start into the game. Galdra Studios presents...
From the shimmer of light in the workshop, you
I'll be
felt
quiet,
safe to
so
the
you can hear.
broken glass in the streets, reflecting her fright. Desperation can set the stage for acts of villainy, and heroes may need to confront their demons in more ways than one. For a choice to be made, you must overcome the binding and twining of souls are bound. So strong that they just keep you going tall. Yes, you. What will you do when the call for action beckons you to choose? Yes, you. What will you be? A hero, a villain, or a monster indeed?
This didn't hit me the first time, but it says a hero, a villain, a monster, whatever. And on the villain it shows Quinn. I don't know if I like those implications. It's probably nothing. Also, yeah, during that, well, first, it made me think of the Pokemon Spectrum intro, which, if you didn't know, Pokemon Spectrum was a Pokemon-based tabletop role-playing game that I took part of that was recorded and posted in its entirety on YouTube on Angel Art's channel. If you Google Angel Art's Pokemon Spectrum, you'll probably find it. But yeah, it was a good time. We had an animated intro like that. It was neat. And throughout that intro, like for this game, it shows like this character played by this person or whatever, or this person as this character, I suppose. There is going to be voice acting in this game. I believe they even have 2 people from like one of the Persona games, so that's pretty cool. Like Persona 4 or 5, I don't know Persona at all. If you guys didn't know, you probably did. But yeah, so pretty dope. It's not in this demo, but just to point that out. To the east, way past even the capital of Erodas, lies a small town known as Anemone Valley, and in the town sits a very special shop. Oh, and for Galdra Studios people, if you're watching this, which I hope you are, because frankly, I don't think that you should reach out to people to play your games and like post it on your channel, if you're then not going to watch it to hear what they have to say, etc. But yeah, if you're watching, just keep in mind that I will be pointing out some grammatical things or some things that you might want to consider as far as changing up or fixing up some of the dialogue or some of the text that you have in this game. Just be aware, I don't mean anything negative by it. I just want it to be as polished as possible, as I'm sure you do, you know? So yeah. Despite its modest size, the store is visited by most, for it is the only one of its kind in the town. Now, I won't pick up on everything, and I won't say everything that I notice, but just keep that in mind. A store that sells alchemy. So like one of these cases is like, the last sentence ended with a colon, and then this one is not a complete sentence on its own, it's just a continuation of that. The colon is just there to like draw emphasis to the thing that comes next, which is this phrase, a store that sells alchemy. But yes, it's not a complete sentence. Technically, it should not be capitalized, like the A should be lowercase, but I understand that it's because you have it on its own, you know, in the message box. You could just... Because I know you can do this with visual novels. You could have the last one end with the colon, and then when the player clicks, instead of bringing them to a new box, it just starts this new phrase, and then you can have the A lowercase and everything, and it wouldn't have any grammatical inconsistencies. But like this is technically fine. No one will care but me, kind of thing. It is owned by Elizabeth, a master of her craft and well respected among those who buy her wares. And you just happen to be her apprentice. And obviously the first one is not a complete sentence either, and yeah, some would argue that well respected should have a hyphen in it, but just throwing stuff out there. Thank you for your purchase, please come again. Your master is firm but kind in her teachings. She treats the herbs with religious dedication, and for the better part of your life, you have been trying to learn as much as you can from her. Riz, we are running low on headache remedies. Would you be so kind as to handle the rune table? I'll do it. Okay, another thing about this game is it provides tags, like, by each of the dialogue options. So here, you know, cheerful, joking, and then nervous. I think that that's cool. One of the reasons that I quit playing the Telltale games was they really annoyed me with how I would pick an option and then it would go a completely different direction because I didn't understand what they had meant by it, etc. And then I felt like the story was no longer under my control, and like it can drastically even change the story, right? And so I think these tags are cool. One of the things that I would bring up to the developers, if possible, I mean, because I don't know coding. I'm sure it's possible, I don't know how easy it is as a thing. I think it would be cool to provide an option in the options menu. There is no options menu currently, but I assume there will be one later. There definitely should be, to adjust like volume and such. But in that, I think it would be cool if you could have an option to turn this off, like the cheerful tag and such, just for those players who would consider it hand-holding and wouldn't want that as part of their experience, you know? Another thing, while I'm here, I'm trying to get a lot of the grammatical stuff out of the way now. I'm sure I'll bring it up again later, but like, then we can focus a little bit more on the game. And yes, I am talking a little bit more quickly than usual, perhaps. That's just because I suppose I'm in that mood, and I've already played this, and I've already said a lot of these things, and so I'm kind of just getting it out there. But one of the things that I talked about before was how I think that even with a declarative statement in these dialogue options, that you should just put a period. You should include punctuation, because you include question marks and you include exclamation points in these dialogue options, but you don't include any periods, and it just seems inconsistent to me. It seems unfinished, and when you do have other punctuation, it's like, why are they not similar, you know? So, I'll do it. Of course, I'll get to work at once. The rune table is an artifact provided to alchemists by the School of Magic. It runs on a core of controlled magic and can be manipulated by anyone with the proper training. It is, of course, not as powerful as an actual mage, but it is quite practical for making household charms and remedies. Headache cures being one of the more popular options. Obviously, again, not a complete sentence, do with that what you will. You get to work preparing the ingredients as a tall man with an intimidating glare enters the store. What can I do for you today, sir? Spare me your pleasantries, witch, says question mark on the right side. Just give me the usual and make it quick. I've got places to be. Very well, one remedy coming right up. And yeah, if you didn't notice, if I move the mouse to the left, like the vision moves to the left, like the background. If I move it to the right, it moves that to the right. Not to a large degree, but a little bit. Behind the man, a shadow moves. He is a little boy. A child peeks out, staring around the room with big, frightened eyes. You haven't seen the kid around the shop before. By the looks of it, he's been told one too many tales of child-eating potion makers. Frighten the child, smile and wave, or ignore the child. I am going to smile and wave just like I did the last time I played, and you get to see him be super cute. Watch this. You smile at the kid and give a friendly wave. Isn't that adorable? This is very cute. It works very well with the art style. At first he freezes, realizing he has been caught, but then he slowly emerges and gives a shy wave back. Elizabeth coughs to get your attention, and you realize she's looking at you expectantly. Oh right, the potion! Another thing to bring up in terms of grammar and such. Yes, I'm back here. So I don't know how it is in like Danish grammar, because I know that in different languages they handle punctuation differently. Like I believe I learned recently that with French, like with question marks at least, you actually have like the final word of the sentence, then a space, and then the question mark, which kind of blew my mind. Same with learning about dialogue, how they use kind of the brackets, like the angled brackets instead. It was crazy to me. But at least in English, we do not have a space on either side of the ellipses. I mean, I guess if you're being really technical, like, I don't know the proper rules for it, but like, you could do a space period, you know, that kind of thing, where you space everything out. But in more casual work like this, like non-academic papers and such, if you're going to use an ellipsis, or an ellipsis, I suppose, I would just put put expectantly right up against it, like you did, and then put O right up against it too. Just smush the words against the ellipsis, like you would want to do with M dashes. M as in Mario. The customer wants a strong headache remedy. I get it. Headache remedy, a basic healing potion that works wonders on headaches. It also smells nice. Shush. So for the standard, we want this, but we're looking for a strong headache remedy according to the top. I assume you can see my mouse because it's like unique to the game. So we want these different icons. So I guess we drag it to each, or just the two spots. Okay. Oh, that's right. Okay. So I never entirely, I suppose, figured out how to do this one. Let's see. Got it. Oh, I did this wrong. Cool. It's a unique little kind of minigame mechanic that I assume is going to be used later in the game as well. I didn't really reach that point in my gameplay, a minor spoiler I suppose, but I think it's pretty cool. You hand the potion to Elizabeth. Here you go, sir, one extra strong headache remedy. Elizabeth hands the potion to the customer, who pays with a grunt and nothing more. Well, I hope he pays with money as well. Do you need my help with anything else? That was interesting. Once again, remove the space from around the ellipsis, and I would still add a period to the end of that, because you have a question mark here, an exclamation point here, or exclamation mark, however you want to say that. Either one's correct. But, like, there's nothing at the end of this. It's just weird. So I'm going to go with, do you need my help with anything else? Are there any other potions we should restock? If you'd like, I could go and get more supplies. In a moment, dear. I just wanted to tell you how proud I am of the way you handled that. I know it is difficult to keep calm when someone like that is in the store. Can't believe he talked to you like that. He could have at least thanked you. Yeah, I'm gonna go with that one. He came here for help and he got it. He could have at least said thank you. You are right, but people like us have to pick our battles carefully, lest we end up in a position where we can do nothing at all. Very true, but enough of that. I have another job for you. We just used up the last of the lavender making that remedy. Would you be so kind as to go and buy some more? Okay. Let's change the recipe. Are you going to be okay? Yeah, I'm gonna do the last one. Are you sure you're going to be okay? What if that angry guy comes back? I've handled my share of angry customers. They are not going to intimidate this old witch. Now go, before it gets dark. See that wink? I clicked off of it, but there was a sly wink there on Elizabeth. Okay then, see you in a bit. You gather your things, then leave the store with a small wave. Oh yes, I actually forgot there was this little map system. That's cool. So everything else is blocked off right now. We got our crystals, the mine over there. We got a tavern looking thing, looks like. Fruits basket, a squirrel, and then some dead looking trees. But we're gonna go to the flower shop because that's the only place we can go. The flower shop smells heavenly. Strange exotic plants are growing everywhere, their colors vibrant and glowing with the faintest hint of magic. Oh, hi, Riz. Come in. Here to pick up supplies, I presume? Perfect timing. Today's been so slow, I was growing quite mad. Now that we've reached slow, I'm going to talk about something that's not a rule. I don't know of any rule regarding holding out a word, but it's a practice that I maintain. So this is a personal thing. You certainly don't have to do this. I'm just talking about it because then if you want to have your own practice for the sake of being consistent, then you can. So when I hold out words, I hold it out for 4 different counts. So if I were to hold out slow, I would have S-L-O-O-O-O-W. And so with that, not only is it consistent, and so like, you know, if I am to use something like that multiple times, just through that consistency, it looks a little bit more professional, I feel at least. It looks a little cleaner. But in addition to that, it helps to clarify some things, because if you were to hold out like God compared to good, if there's no rule to it, if there's no pattern that you yourself are following consistently throughout your own work, it can be hard to distinguish the two. But the way that I do it, God held out would be, you know, G-O-O-O-O-D, and good would be G-O-O-O-O-O-D, because, you know, in good there are already 2 O's. You know? So that's just something that I do. Again, I don't believe there's any rule to that, but it's something that you might consider just for the sake of having your own rule that makes you be a little bit more consistent, and I think provides a little bit more of a finishing touch, a little bit more of a polish on your writing. So yes. How are things? The owner, Quinn, has had the store for a little over a year. The first full year of the small town having their very own mage. Oh, you know, the usual happy customers all around. People have been really rude today. I just had the worst customer. I'm gonna go with sarcastic. Oh, you know, customers just really know how to make you feel appreciated for the hard work you do at the shop. Not bad, huh? I guess I should count my blessings that I haven't had any customers today. It is only natural that things are a bit tense. After the ivy woods wilted, people are suspecting some wicked magic to be at work. The was because I had to think, like, are the ivy woods, rather, the dead trees that we saw? Must be, right? Woods, wilted, dead. I would assume so. Click. Which, of course, means people are less keen on coming near us Magi folks. I assume it's Magi and not Magi. I don't know. Just because magic. The ivy woods wilted? So these ones are all listed as question, and I believe, aside from this one, that's an arrow. So the arrow means, like, continue, I'm done with this. The question means, I'm just gonna ask this question first. Like, you gotta ask all these. So the ivy woods wilted? What happened to the ivy woods? You haven't heard? And here I thought small town news was supposed to travel fast. Yesterday, an entire section of the forest just died. I've wanted to go and gather some samples, see if perhaps it's a rare disease killing the trees. But I can't leave the shop, and I don't want to be caught out there investigating. People might start suspecting that I was the one who did it, and I really don't need that kind of attention. What kind of samples do you need? What kind of samples do you need? Anything would do at this point. A cutting from a dead tree, a pinch of the dirt. It could all tell me something about how it died. I'll get it for you. You have the check mark for, like, I'll accept the quest, or an X for no. I can go and get it for you. The forest isn't that far, and it might help. Now I have to pause again. We have ended this sentence with a dash, except we didn't. That was the intention, but this is actually just a hyphen. So I would recommend, because I know that you can get dashes in visual novels, I've seen it done, I would recommend just getting an M dash that's EM, as in Mario, like Mamma Mia Mario, that kind of dude. I would just, like, copy that and paste it if you have to. A lot of people will use 2 hyphens together to indicate a dash, and, like, in a lot of word processors, like, you know, Word, for instance, they will automatically, like, format the double hyphen into an M dash, but obviously, like, programs like these, if you're just coding it in, it won't. And so if you want it to look really clean and be an official M dash, like, I just straight up copy and paste one into your program. I think it will look cleaner, I think it'll look more professional, and I think that it denotes the meaning better, you know what I mean? Because that's what the M dash is for, like that abrupt halt, whereas the hyphen is not used for that purpose. Absolutely not. Elizabeth would kill me if she found out I'd sent you out there alone. It's dangerous, you know. No one but trained demon hunters would or should go near the area. And so obviously, too, I say obviously, maybe not. This is a comma splice. But I get it because it's dialogue and like characters or people, often just like run one sentence into another. But it's dangerous, period, like that's a full sentence, and then no one but trained demon hunters would or should go near the area is another complete sentence. So having just a comma there without any coordinating conjunction, which wouldn't really work in this case, really, except like I guess it's dangerous, and no one but trained demon hunters would or should. But yeah, without that is what I'm saying, is a comma splice. No, it's better to let the officials handle this. I'm sure they'll figure out the cause soon enough. Hopefully then things will calm down. If we're gonna be super technical too, hopefully when starting a sentence actually should have a comma. I personally, I hate that. I feel like it reads weird that way, because I would just say like, hopefully things will calm down, I don't say hopefully things will calm down. But technically speaking, I'm pretty sure hopefully should have a comma. Just like if you were to start a sentence with eventually, it'd be like eventually, comma, and then the rest of it. So I wouldn't fault you for not putting a comma there, because it bugs me that it should be a comma. But just so you're aware, that's what I learned somewhat recently. I guess you're right, agree, suppose, yeah, I'll agree, yep. Yeah, you were probably right. I'm always right, darling. Slow day. No customers came by today? You're the first. It is quite odd. By this time I usually have at least a couple of people poke their heads in, out of curiosity if anything. But today has been completely quiet. Once again, it is quite odd. That's a complete sentence. It should be a period or a semicolon or something, And by this time should have its own sentence. Also, by this time, you technically put a comma after that too, because that's the introductory phrase. But yeah, there you go. There's some stuff. Play with that if you want. Or completely ignore everything that I'm telling you. You don't have to listen to a thing I'm saying, but I want to give you more options to work with. And some things just are technically wrong, or like blatantly wrong, which we'll see more of later on, but yeah. I was starting to wonder if perhaps I'd missed some kind of local holiday tradition. This is another case. What I say another case, we haven't talked about this kind of case yet, but I've definitely come across it before. This is a statement that is ending in a question mark, which is incorrect. I was starting to wonder, is just a declarative statement, Even though when you wonder something, you're like asking a question in your head, basically, this itself is not a question. So a question mark at the end of this, I understand if you're just meaning to kind of indicate their rising intonation. Because, like if we're talking and we have a question, like we might raise our voices a little bit. Like it goes up near the end because it's a question, And so if you're trying to kind of replicate that, I get it. Just technically, though, that's not a question, that is a declarative statement, and so it should just have a period, or an exclamation point if they're being, like, really boisterous about it, I suppose. But yeah, again, just something you can play with, keep in mind. But I guess in the end, people are just wary of magic due to what happened to the forest. It's sad. People suspect magic? People are suspecting magic? People always suspect magic. It's always easier to blame something you do not understand, especially when you were only exposed to hearsay and rumors. The people out here don't experience the good sides of magic. Like the self-driving wagons and other handy devices created by the Tinkers of Eridas, or the grand theater shows of the illusionists down south. Oh, this was another thing I brought up last time, and I did not look it up because I just kind of completely forgot about it. I don't know if South in this case should be capitalized. If it's known regionally, like within this game, as the South kind of thing. Like if we're talking about the United States, we might say the North and the South. And in those cases, you can capitalize those because we're referring, like we're kind of naming that region, the North or the South. Same thing like if you're saying, just to the East, it's lowercase, but if you're saying like East Coast, like that's a proper name. So you capitalize East and capitalize Coast, that kind of thing. I guess better example, if you're saying Eastern Coast, like both of those are lowercase because then you're just giving a direction, or no, you're not giving, you're describing a coast. Anyway, so just look into that, I suppose, because I can't say it's wrong. I can see plenty of arguments as to why it would be right. I just have a bit of hesitation, that's all it is. So I just look into it to confirm. They do have you, though. That's no excuse for being prejudiced. Yeah, as much as I want to be friendly, like, that's no excuse for being prejudiced. Not understanding something shouldn't be an excuse for treating people badly. That is true. I am, however, of the naive belief that no one does evil for the sake of being evil. Prejudice and fears, they all stem from a place of not knowing. I hope me being sent here to sell my flowers will show at least some people that magic isn't all bad. Good thing I'm not selling anything dangerous like fireworks or something, ha! Alright, couple things. First, let's start with the serious stuff, and then I'll go with this sentence. So the serious stuff, I brought this up last time, I just want to bring it up here too. So from what I've read about this game, we've already seen that it was really, like, inclusive with, you know, just the body type instead of, like, the sex that you pick. And with, you know, the pronouns, you got to pick she, her, he, him, or they, them, which I think is super awesome. This game also has some LGBTQ plus people and like relationship potential rather, you know, if you want to go with those characters. And so I just want to say really quickly, if you are like following this channel, if you're watching this video and you are not a supporter of LGBTQ plus rights, like just piss off. Like I don't care for you. You're not my friend. I do not like you. I think very poorly of you. Like, support human rights. LGBTQ plus rights are human rights. Same thing with, you know, like Black Lives Matter. Like, I absolutely support that movement. If you don't, you're racist. Like, that's just what it is. So, I could complain about other things like ICE needs to be abolished, the police need to be defunded, they need to be held accountable for the bad things that they do, all these other things. People need to wear freaking masks and they need to adhere to social distancing guidelines. People are just so dumb. Anyway, now to this sentence, away from the serious stuff, which is absolutely serious and I stand by it, but now to this stuff. I am always hesitant to put, like, laughter in dialogue, but I understand. However, unless you want it to be read straight through, like, good thing I'm not selling anything dangerous like fireworks or something, like, there should be some sort of pause after something and before you know? Whether that's a comma for a brief pause, or a period for, like, a bit more of a full pause. I feel like there should be something between those two, because otherwise it's just kind of... I don't know, I think it's weird. You were sent here? You didn't choose to come here yourself? Oh no, darling. When a mage graduates from the academy, we are assigned a shop to practice our craft. Oh, quick note, I suppose. Practice in the UK spelling is like you wrote with ending ISE. Practice American English spelling is ICE. And so, like, I bloody do not care which one you do. But just to be aware, so like if you were going for a particular market, like either UK English or American English, just keep in mind that there are differences. I definitely do not know all the differences myself. That's something that you would have to look up and just, you know, like be really careful about when you're looking through, like proofreading your work. But I guess just something to keep in mind depending on your target audience. We do get to make proposals for where we'd like to go, but ultimately it's up to a council to distribute the graduates. They will consider the needs of the towns and cities, and the danger the mage might pose if they work without supervision. I would say no comma here. Because the thing is, like, they will consider the needs of the towns and cities, like, that is one chunk. But, the danger the mage might pose if they work without supervision, that's not a complete sentence on its own. Like, the first part is a complete sentence, the second part is not. So having a comma and a coordinating conjunction does not work here. However, if you just have, they will consider the needs of the towns and cities and the danger the mage might pose, you're then extending they will consider to that second section. So, like, they will consider the danger the mage might pose if they work without supervision. The issue with the second part is, like, there's just no subject. Because the subject of the first sentence, or the first part of the sentence, is they. They will consider, you know, the council will. But then the second one, it doesn't have a subject. It's just the danger the mage might pose if they work without supervision. Or I guess it would have a subject. In this case, it doesn't have, like, a verb. Because in this case, the subject of that second part is the danger. And to be more specific, the subject is the danger the mage might pose if they work without supervision. So, like, a complete sentence would be, the danger the mage might pose if they work without supervision is bad. You know, like, that would be a complete sentence, all of a sudden. But just, like, as the sentence is written here, just get rid of that comma, and you should be good. I talked way too long about that simple thing, but hopefully it's giving some ideas. I, for one, am quite happy with where I ended up. You like it here? You actually like it here? I thought you'd want to be somewhere more lively, like in one of the capitals or something. Oh no, that's way too dull. I wouldn't learn anything in a forest of bricks. I would also look into whether or not you want to capitalize capital in this case. If you just mean, you know, like in the United States, states have their own capitals. And those kinds of capitals are all lowercase. So I don't know if you have, and then we have like the Capitol building, but that's actually spelled differently as, like, along with being capitalized. And so I would look into that. If you have particular proper nouns, like multiple of them called the capital, spelled AL at the end, sure. But as is, I don't think it should be capitalized. So look into that, decide for yourself, depending on like your word and the consistency that you're going for, etc. Oh no, that's way too dull. I wouldn't learn anything in Force of Bricks. Out here, I'm right in the center in the greatest garden of all. I feel like the in before in the greatest garden should be of. Like, I'm right in the center of the greatest garden of all. I just feel like that's a better preposition in that case. Maybe I'm misunderstanding, but yeah. Not to mention the fascinating underground of the magic mines. The energy coursing through the soil here is completely unique, and I keep finding new specimens that would make the students back at the college green with envy, aha! So once more, there is a comma before this laugh. So maybe, I said before you should have at least a comma or a period depending on the length of the pause you want. I think I'm inclined to just say a period. Because even with that comma there, I did not feel, like obviously I read it straight through. Technically there should have been some sort of pause, but I feel like it's just so limited. But in addition to that, technically speaking, these are two separate sentences. So this is like technically a run-on sentence. Because the energy coursing through the soil here is completely unique. Is a complete sentence. And then, I keep finding new specimens that would make the students back at the college green with envy. That's a complete sentence. And so separating them with and without having a comma before the and makes it a run-on sentence. You can do that technically, but the exception is really if the first part is short. And I don't feel like this first sentence, the energy coursing through the soil here is completely unique, is really short enough to justify that, so I would just put a comma after unique. That's what I would do. Firework tinkers? There are seriously mages who just make fireworks? Of course, but they are not just fireworks. They are the best, most beautiful fireworks on the continent. Created to dazzle and entertain, they are a marvelous sight to behold. That sounds amazing. That sounds kind of dangerous. So I'll be nice. I don't like fireworks personally. I just grew out of them really fast. Just not entertaining to me. But he's gonna be supportive. That sounds like a dream. I'd love to see that one day. You'll have to go to the capital to see it, I'm afraid. Such magic has to be performed under strict supervision, but it is worth the journey for sure. I have no more questions. Elizabeth sent me to get lavender if you have any. Ah, of course, of course. I'm questioning whether you should have a comma before if you have any in the previous chunk. I'd just look into that. I cannot say anything definitively. And then I would like to have a comma after ah here. And like, ah, of course. I'd like a comma there. But, yeah. The world can't go round without the madam's great headache remedy, can it now? Give me a second. Quinn finds the herbs you asked for and you pay for your wares. Do say hi to Elizabeth for me when you get back. It is getting late, but the streets are still buzzing with activity. Citizens are making their final rounds, shopping and greeting friends while walking home from work. No one acknowledges your presence. In fact, those who recognize you are careful not to get too close as they pass by. Some even pull at their children if they wander too close. Nice semicolon. Was it always this bad? You're not sure. You have almost reached home, but come to a halt when you hear someone cry out. I would get rid of that comma, and the reason for that is you have almost reached home is a complete sentence on its own, but come to a halt when you hear someone cry out is not. Again, the issue with that second part is it doesn't have a subject. Like, the first subject is you, and it should carry over to the second, but the comma is taking that away. So I'd remove the comma and just have it read straight through. You have almost reached home, but come to a halt when you hear someone cry out. If you say you have almost reached home, but you come to a halt when you hear someone cry out, keep the comma. That works. But without that, yeah. Your head whips round towards a dark side street. Here, I would just use around instead of round. Round, I can't say it's wrong, it just sounds weird to me in this case. And then I frankly would also remove the comma, just your head whips around towards a dark side street. And I might even consider toward. I'm not gonna say towards is wrong, I just think toward sounds better in this case. Your head whips around toward a dark side street. That sounds better to me. So yeah. The people around you keep walking, ignoring the sound even as it grows louder. Can't they hear? You glance around but see no reaction, everyone just carrying on, apathetic. You know you should probably do the same. You can vividly imagine Elizabeth's disapproving stare in your head. But the darkness of the alley beckons you, and you leave the busy street to investigate. And so yes, I know I'm ruining the tension by talking like this, I'm sorry! However, I just want to point out that at the end, that's done correctly. But the darkness of the alley beckons you, comma, and you leave the busy street to investigate. And why this works is because the darkness of the alley is the subject of the first part, and then beckons is the verb of the first part. And then you is the subject of the second part, and leave is the verb of the second part. They are complete sentences each on their own, so you have the comma and the coordinating conjunction separating them. That is done correctly. Well done. A man is standing over the form of a young girl, or what appears to be a girl. Oh, really? There's no need for this. Or for this. I read over it. But I'm pretty sure it said for this, so to touch on that really quickly. So if you're trying to indicate that she's stammering, I feel like I didn't get that. What it seemed to me was it was just for was accidentally duplicated, and that obviously is a mistake. Like if it is duplicated, that's a mistake, clearly, you should remove that. I think that it would be a safer bet just to stick with stuttering, just like the really, you know, the R-R for really. Having repeated words can work, but I think you just run the risk of people finding them to be mistakes instead of character traits. It's difficult when you have text like that. You might consider, if you really wanted to keep the stammering, to do the same hyphen thing where you have like 4-4. Or if you are okay with having a pause between it, 4-4 seems a lot safer to me personally. Like I do that when like they're saying something, they like stop for a moment and then they like finish, or like they repeat that word and then finish their thought. I definitely do that when I'm writing. The hyphen one I think is risky. I don't know if that's at all appropriate or like officially acceptable, but I think it would be better than just 4-4 repeated as is. I was simply a bit lost, you see. I didn't mean to wander into your town uninvited. Just let me go and I'll be out of your hair for good. Gone, whoosh! Oh no. You expect me to believe that, spirit? Oh, also, it's Angry Headache Guy. We can tell from the silhouette. I am not fooled by your petty tricks and illusions. I see you, and I am going to make sure whatever wicked scheme you have planned ends right here. So this is another case with I see you, that's a complete sentence, I'm going to make sure, etc. is a complete sentence. But because I see you is so short, it is technically acceptable, I would say, to not have a comma before that coordinating conjunction and. Do what you want in that case. Like, you can leave it as is, or you can put in the comma to be safe. I actually like the comma because I like the pause there. Like, I see you, and I am going to make sure whatever wickets, you know, instead of I see you, and I am going to make... It's a kind of subtle difference, but I like having a little bit of a pause there that the comma would naturally provide. I swear I'm not planning anything! Demon spawn like you doesn't belong in this world. Die, you filthy creature! I don't think that hyphen should be there. I mean, like, first, if anything, I think it should be a dash, like, to actually make space. That might be an N dash, really, but you want M dashes. Again, Mamma Mia Mario M. But after an exclamation point, nah, just, that's its own sentence. It ends with an exclamation point, the next one starts. I don't think you need anything else. If you're trying to indicate more of a pause, I would just probably do the thing where like the player has to click and then that second sentence appears, or maybe it's on its own box kind of thing, but I don't like just a hyphen there randomly. He is going to kill her! You have to do something, but what? Your choice will have personality-defining consequences for your character. That poor girl needs my help? No way that bully is getting away with this. So either way, we're stepping in to stop this, but which one we choose determines like why we stepped in or how. So this one, the thrill of an adventure beckons you to take on this challenge. That's the adventurous tag. But this one, the kind tag, is the kindness in your heart compels you to take action. I definitely would not do this to be an adventurer, to be like, oh boy, there's action happening, you know, like no, we're gonna do this because we see someone in danger and we want to help them. Stop that! You're hurting her! The man spins around. His eyes are crazed, dangerous, and familiar. You. A chill runs down your spine as something flashed in the man's eyes. You could have sworn they looked, or almost looked red. A couple things with this sentence. So something flashes in the man's eyes. You want it to be something flashes, not something flash. You could have like, as things flash, because then things is plural, and so flash like works with that. Like there's the subject-verb agreement, but something flashes is correct, whereas something flash is another subject-verb disagreement. And then the sentence ends after man's eyes, like just put a period there. You could have sworn they almost looked red is its own sentence, and it should be treated as such. So period after eyes, capitalize the Y in you. And also, just to point out, between looked and read, you have the ellipsis with no spaces. The looked and read are just smushed up right against it, which is how it should be. So just to show that like you did do it, at least in some places, now I'd just say, make it consistent. You're that old hag's apprentice, aren't you? He looks vicious. You lure people with your pretty potions and promises of healing, but in the end you're just the same. In this case, I would use an M dash instead of that hyphen. Once again, just press the words up against it. Don't have any spaces, just you, M dash arg. Magic scum like you should all just die. He changed fast. He moves so fast. There's a blur of movement and then you feel a sharp pain in your chest. You look down and see the hilt of a knife, a bloom of red growing outwards, staining everything. Weirdly, you almost don't feel the pain. Shock is making the weirdest of thoughts suddenly relevant. So, that's what a lot of blood looks like. It's thicker than I imagined and more red. And then we died. End of the demo. No. Thank you, you really saved me there. I'm sorry this had to happen. Let me see. Ouch, yeah, he got you real good, didn't he? Pierced the heart. Humans need hearts, I'm certain of that. And such a kind heart, too. Don't be scared. I'll fix it, I promise. It won't be easy, though. It really is in quite the state. I think I can mend it, but it needs something to stick it together. Your soul, I mean. And no use spending the body when you're, well, dead. That's right. Sorry, that was rather insensitive, wasn't it? Nothing wrong with being dead. I mean, most of my best friends don't have mortal connections to your world, but... Oh, right, not important. Just a moment, I'll fix you right up. Ouch, my head. So in this case, you might want to capitalize the my, in my head. It just depends on whether you intended ouch my head to be like one complete sentence, or if they were separate thoughts, like ouch, period. My head, period, kind of thing, If it's ouch, comma, my head, this is technically fine, but yeah. Or like, if that was the intention, you can have an ellipsis instead, but if they're not meant to be connected sentences, just capitalize the my, that's all I'm saying. Yeah, sorry about that. You knocked your head pretty bad when you fell. We should get you a potion for that. You blearily force your eyes open. You were still in the alleyway, but the street has gone quiet and the afternoon light has faded. You must have been unconscious for a while. Your hand flies up to your chest, expecting to find the knife still sticking out, but there is no wound. It doesn't hurt, right? Honestly, I don't know much about human skin, so I kinda just stitched it together the best I could. What's going on? What just happened? Are you hurt? Okay, so in a case like this, where you're going to have like an ellipsis leading up to either a question mark or an exclamation point, I would still use a full ellipsis of 3 periods. Having 2 looks really weird to me. Like, it looks wrong. I don't know if it's definitively wrong. I want to say it is, but it looks really wrong to me. So in these cases, I would still just use 3 periods and then end with either the question mark or the exclamation point, depending on what you're going for. And as this will come up later on, because I remember this, there are some cases throughout this where you use a question mark and then an exclamation point, and there are some cases where you use an exclamation point and then a question mark. I personally prefer this way, the question mark and then the exclamation point, because this is my justification for it. The heart of the statement is that it's, I say statement, but the heart of the sentence is that it's a question, right? But then the exclamation point adds the emotion to it. So like, we get that it's a question and then we add like how the character is delivering that question. Like what's going on is delivered, I don't want to say boisterously, but I think you get what I mean. Whereas like having an exclamation point and then the question mark, it seems weird to me because you're modifying it and then saying what it actually is, So I think the consistency, regardless of which one you choose, is important. I just feel that the question mark, then the exclamation point, is the better choice. So what's going on? What just happened? Are you hurt? As much as I want to be nice, I think that I have some questions right now, so I'm gonna ask what just happened. What just happened? That guy? Where did he go? What's going on? He left. I, hid myself in the trash, so when he was done with you, he went off to search for me. I'm terribly sorry about all this. Usually I'm much more careful. You're safe now, though, I promise. That guy really was something, though. To think a spear would really go as far as to possess a human like that. Also, because it's come up a few times, but I haven't really said anything about it, she says a lot of things where, like, commas could and probably should go, but they aren't there. I've been reading it as this character in particular, you're trying to make it so, like, her dialogue, she kind of rushes through it, like, she just speaks more quickly. If you don't intend for that, then you might want to go back and put commas before things, like, usually, like, or I say before, in this case I meant after, like, after the, things like that. Things to consider. I know the whole humans against magic thing doesn't make for the best of relationships, but there's no need to be rude. Oh, I'm sorry. You're probably rather confused, right? Please, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. Alright, starting with who are you? So who are you? Ah, right, I'm so sorry. I should have introduced myself, shouldn't I? See, this is the case you do an exclamation point and then a question mark. Again, I think consistency is important, so just pick one or the other. I personally prefer a question mark than exclamation point. I already get my reasoning, there you go. I'm Mime. I mean, it could be Mime. I'm assuming it's Mime. I'm a spirit, I believe you would say. A friendly one, though, don't worry. I would put a comma after one. That guy looked like some kind of monster. What was I? So we can ask all these questions, except for, like, these two, because then we'll move on, because we see by the arrow. That guy looked like some kind of monster? That guy. His appearance changed all of a sudden. The horns, the red eyes. He looks like some kind of a monster. My guess is that some mean spirit latched onto his anger and possessed him. Yeah, as they do. The spirit must have been quite powerful, too, to spark a physical transformation like that. This is another case where the comma here, like, you kind of have to commit in this case. So, sometimes you don't need a comma before to, like T-O-O. In this case, I think that you should. Because what you're doing with that to is, like, pushing it in, you're interrupting the sentence, because the sentence all on its own is, the spirit must have been quite powerful to spark a physical transformation like that. That's a sentence all on its own, uninterrupted. But you're inserting the to in there, you're interrupting that thought. And so in that case, you want to have, the spirit must have been quite powerful, comma, to spark a physical transformation like that. Because otherwise, again, it's a comma splice. Because to spark a physical transformation like that is not a complete sentence. So, yeah, just put a comma after powerful. That's all I needed to say, but I said a lot more. I wonder what it was doing here. Anyway, the best course of action would be to stay far away from that guy, but I guess you already figured that out the hard way. Why was that guy harassing you? I met that guy earlier today. He wasn't nice back then either, but the way he treated you was horrible. Well, you know, humans don't usually care much for spirits. We're supposedly illegal after all. Chaotic magic, dangerous, yada yada. I don't know if there's a proper spelling for yada, but I would look that up if I were you. My thinking was that it was 1D, but I don't know. Just check. Also, supposedly is not a word. I assume that you mean supposedly, S-U-P-P-O-S-E-D-L-Y. However, this could also be an attempt to characterize Mime, in that, like, she uses words that sound like real words, or, like, you know, she uses words slightly wrong. That could be a character thing, absolutely, it could be characterization, but I, as a player, do not know. So just in case, if it is not meant to be characterization, if that's a mistake on your part, just keep in mind that supposedly is not a thing, it's supposedly. There you go. This guy was being particularly aggressive about it, though. His heart has a lot of hate inside it, which is probably the reason why the mean spirit decided to take it. And I could see with the spirits, with the demons, the sort of Dragon Age connection that's being made there. I do not have a lot of knowledge with Dragon Age, but I've played Dragon Age Origins, which if you haven't seen, I've been uploading it on this channel for like a year now at this point. After I streamed it while I was still living in Ohio, that kind of thing. And I'm currently in a Dragon Age tabletop role-playing game, GM'd by the Morgan that I mentioned earlier. But there's still a ton that I don't know, obviously. Anyway, so I would like to ask this question, why are you here? So, thank you for saving me, but why are you still here? Aren't you afraid more people like that guy will show up? Well, you see, I might be kinda, sorta, bound here to you. What? I didn't mean to, I'm sorry. I like the expression there. But you were all dead and broken and the pieces didn't want to stick together and I panicked and it may have somehow linked myself to your soul in order to bind it to your body. Your choice will permanently affect your relationship with Mime. Angry? Let Mime feel the consequences of her actions and perhaps she will learn from them. Or forgiving. Calm Mime down by showing her kindness. Now frankly, she saved me from being dead? So I don't really want to be angry about that. Also, like, I, at least as a player, I don't know about the character, but I as a player, I don't know anything super awful about the whole binding thing. So, like, the fact that she saved my life, and the fact that I don't know of any super negative consequences as far as the binding is concerned, like, I don't know rules about proximity or anything like that, you know? I don't know if this bond can be broken. So, I'm just gonna be forgiving, like, yeah, absolutely. You saved my life. The method might not have been ideal, but I really can't blame you for helping me. I know, I should have done better and I shouldn't... Huh? You forgive me? Also, looking at these words held out more, like half paying attention to them as they come up, like it just strikes me each time, because again, it's not how I would write it. Maybe you are being consistent with holding it out for 3 counts each time. I don't know. If you are being consistent, fair enough. Again, it's not my aesthetic cup of tea, just because I prefer the 4. But if you have your own rule for it, cool, just keep following that. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Don't worry, we'll find some way to fix this, I'm sure of it. So how do we fix this? Well, she doesn't know, clearly. She just said that. There has to be a way to reverse this, right? Let's work together. Let's do that. If we work together, I'm sure you and I can find a way to fix this. Thank you, kind human. You're right. We'll find a way to solve this. I feel like thank should be capitalized in this case, because unless it's a direct continuation of the sentence that you was first starting, then it's its own sentence, and it should be capitalized. But I feel like the ellipsis was just her kind of trailing off and then cutting herself off and like starting a different sentence, a different thought altogether. So capitalize thank. That's what I'd say. I don't know how to fix this, but I do know someone who might. I'll take you there. Though, she's going to be so mad at me. You and Mime both pause and listen. While you were talking, the quiet night has erupted into a steady swell of voices. A sinister feeling makes the hairs on your neck stand on end, and Mime scurries closer to you, the small spirit having grown quite pale. Something doesn't feel right. I think we should leave now. She tugs you by the sleeve, and you follow her to the end of the alley, only to stop short at a sudden smell slithering down the streets. That alliteration, though. Stop short at a sudden smell slithering down the streets. Lots of S's there. Yeah. I'm a little hesitant about the comma after alley. You follow her to the end of the alley, only to stop. I don't think I like the comma, but I cannot say that it's wrong. So, take that again for what you will, that kind of thing. Smoke. There's smoke. Oh no. Your eyes grow wide as you spot the flickering lights in the distance, a feeling of dread settling in your stomach. The shop! Hey, wait! Oh no! Yeah, I clicked. By the time you get there, a large group of people has gathered in front of the shop and a wicked tension is in the air. Child Eater! Get rid of that second quotation mark. There's zero need for it. Oh, and because this will come up later, just to interrupt the tension now and then get it over with kind of thing, here, for these quotation marks, they're just like the straight ticks, right? Later on, you use the curl quotation marks, where like the right side curls down and the left side curls up kind of thing, each time toward the words. If you have the capability to do that, I think that is more correct. Like, it doesn't come up too often because we often, like, usually the dialogue is just presented in the character box without any quotation marks, but if you're going to use it, I think that you should use it with the curly quotes if possible. There might be rules to that, like maybe it's only supposed to be used with dialogue, maybe it's not supposed to be used if you're just like highlighting a word as the word itself. But look into that. I'm thinking right now you should use the curly ones if possible. Just keep that in mind. Either way, you do not need 2 sets of quotation marks at the end here. So just get rid of one of those. Get out of our town! Burn the witch! The yelling feels unbearably loud. A young man picks up a rock and throws it through a window. The sound of shattering glass is drowned out by the cheers rising from the crowd. How could anyone do such a thing? Those bastards are destroying my home. Such gratitude. Yeah, I'm going with this one. Like, he's mad in this case. That's what I'm saying. I can't believe these people. What do they think they're doing? It's actually not their fault. Not entirely, I mean. They've been caught up in a frenzy. Well, don't smile about it, Mime. Their fears are being amplified by a very strong spirit magic. It's drawing them all towards something inside the shop. How can you tell? Their fears? Why are we not affected? We've got to do something. Now, the why are we not affected? I know this because I asked the question already, because again, I've already played this part, but I guessed it correctly. Just saying. How can you tell? And you probably have to, it's not hard. How do you know that? It's a spirit thing. I can sort of sense the essence of other spirits. Usually it doesn't really matter because there isn't really a lot of spirits around, but something's here, and it has its sights set on something inside that store. Their fears? These people don't look very frightened to me. Again, I understand putting a question mark at the end of a statement if you're wanting to indicate a rising intonation as though it were asked like a question, but I don't even see this word there or this sentence being like sounding like that. It just seems like these people don't look very frightened to me, like statement. But you do you. It's true though. We all fear something, but usually you can kind of tell whether you should act on it or if the fear is irrational. These people have had their fear stoked, and it is so great that it has turned to rage. They have lost sight of themselves completely. Why are we not affected? Look, I'm not feeling my bravest at the moment either, so why am I not tearing stuff up? This type of spirit magic doesn't really affect me. Since you're bound to me now, I guess you're protected as well? We've got to do something. We can't just keep standing here. There's got to be something we can do. We really shouldn't get any closer. If they catch us here, there's no telling what they'll do. Elizabeth might still be in there, or those people that need our help. We're gonna go with Elizabeth, yeah. Look, Mime, I know it's scary, but I need to find my teacher, Elizabeth. She might still be in the shop, but I can't just leave her. You really are very kind, aren't you? I kinda wish... Never mind. Okay, I'll take you. So a couple things here really quickly. So this is a case where you use two hyphens to indicate an M dash without actually using an M dash. I would just, again, if you need to, like Google M dash. It's E-M space D-A-S-H. Again, M as in Mamma Mia Mario. And just copy and paste that into whatever program you're using to make this visual novel, you know? I think it looks cleaner that way, more professional, and I think that's what you want for your game, right? And then, in addition to that, push the words against it, don't have a space, so wish dash never. And notice I say never because never mind should be two separate words, never space mind. There you go. Oh, and we've already talked about this. This has come up multiple times, but I just haven't brought it up every time. But just in case you forgot, don't put a space after the ellipses, unless I guess that's, well, I would say if you're writing in English, still don't. Like if you're delivering it to English people, I don't know if you do that in Danish or whatnot, but you don't in English, so don't. Let's just keep our heads down, okay? With Mime's guidance, you go around to the back of the building. There's no way to enter, but there is a closed window, and a nicely sized rock. I'd make and lowercase. You break the window and carefully climb through the broken glass. The shop is dark and smells faintly of burned rosemary. Okay, very sneaky. The sneaky duo, that's us! So once more, like, okay should technically have a comma after it, but if you're trying to just indicate the Mime kind of rushes through her words, fair. That's the impression that I get. A door bursts open. Get out of my home, you! Riz! I know, it's me. I was so worried. Long story, we have to get out of here. Are you okay? I'll say long story, we have to get out of here, because I think that's what I chose last time, and I'm trying to be consistent. We've got no time! Elizabeth, they're surrounding the building! We need to get out now! So this semicolon is used correctly in this case. You could also use a colon if you would like. You could technically also just use a period, but I just wanted to say that this semicolon is used correctly. Whoa, easy, young one. Breathe. I have taken precautions, don't you worry. We are safe in here. But what about you? You were gone for so long. I was just about to leave and go looking for you when those hooligans started gathering out front. So she says that she made precautions. Like, I assume she put up some kind of ward around the building, right? Around the shop. But why then was she expecting us to be a stranger if we broke in? Or if she put a ward around the shop, did she make it so the ward would exclude us? But then even more so, why was she thinking that it was someone who broke in? And if the ward didn't specifically exclude us and like let us in, then it would let anyone in. So in that case, Why is she confident in the ward if the ward is letting anyone in from the back who wanted to come in if we just said that they're surrounding the shop? Because that would mean that people are coming in from the back. Anyway. What happened? And who is that? Hi? Well, you see, it's a long story. We don't have time. She told me to calm down, so I'll say it's a long story. Mime, this is my teacher, Elizabeth. Elizabeth, this is Mime. We have sort of gotten ourselves into a bit of a magical hiccup, and Mime here was just about to take me to someone who could fix this. Weren't you, Mime? Well, yes, of course. I know exactly how to fix this. By the one, you've bound yourself to this spirit? Yeah. What were you thinking, child? Do you have any idea what you have done? No, not really. I'm sorry, I couldn't just stand by and do nothing. Right, let's have this discussion now. Now, middle one. I couldn't just stand by and do nothing. I didn't mean for this to happen, but I would do it again to protect Mime. Elizabeth sighs. Riz, your kind heart is going to get you into trouble one day. Trouble that I will not be able to save you from. Speaking of trouble, too late. Thank you for trying. Oh, yeah, thank you for trying. I'm sorry to make you worry, but we've really got to talk about the people outside. There's a crash as another window shatters. I just don't understand what is happening. The people are acting completely mad, like something is driving them insane. That's exactly what's happening. I'm not sure what, but I can sense something here in the shop. Some kind of powerful magic is drawing them here. Powerful magic? But that's impossible. This is an alchemy shop. The only vaguely magical item in here is the alchemy table. Something flashes in Elizabeth's eye, which I called, I think, in my previous... Erase that thing, you have no proof otherwise. I called it in the previous one. Something flashes in Elizabeth's eyes, and you all turn to the table standing in the corner. It can't be? I feel like that question mark shouldn't be there. Just saying. The light suddenly dims, and you whip around to stare at the shop windows. Oh, you know what I realized? I had this off the entire time. No wonder it looked different. When I was testing the recording, I was like, why does it look so dark in comparison to when I recorded last? But, this is why. Yeah, it didn't look great, did it? Well, I guess it didn't look awful. I don't know if this is better, frankly. For those of you who like this better, we're going to record the rest of this session with this. And I know I said I wasn't going to record as long, but I've already recorded an hour, and I'm nearing the point that I was at, so I think I'll just keep going, frankly. I'll reach the same point that I ended last time, and we'll make it officially awesome. There we go. The light suddenly dims in you. The crowd outside is growing louder, their vile chants and jeers melting together into a booming ichor of hate. So in this, I pointed this out last time that I played this, but the picture here, I understand, like, not including eyes and everything. It's, you know, it focuses on the anonymity and everything like that, but I at least would want to include eyebrows, because right now they kind of just look upset, sometimes disgusted even. Like, the woman kind of just looks a little disgusted. The man on the left looks kind of just, like, surprised. Like, it makes me think of the Pikachu meme, you know? And the boy in the back looks oddly happy, you know? So, like, if you just draw slants, like, we'll get the picture that they're supposed to be angry. To me, it looks kind of weird like this, and the emotions are just vague. A dark shadow is spreading from the frame out of the window, blocking out the light from the torches outside. Mime, what is that? Stay back, it looks dangerous. Yeah, that's just gross. I don't know what the star means. I wonder if it's because, you know, like, there was a previous choice that said it would permanently affect my relationship with Mime. I wonder if that's what that means. Like, the star was unlocked because I made that decision. I don't know. Mime, what is that thing? I'm not sure. It looks like a spirit of some sort, but it's a demon. This thing, it reeks of dark magic. It's trying to breach the barrier I put around the shop. The darkness now completely covered the glass. I would say darkness now completely covers the glass, which creaks and twists under the strain. Completely covers, creaks and twists instead of twist, and creaks in this case should be spelled C-R-E-A-K-S. The way that it's spelled now is like a small stream. just so you know. Wrong creaks. Then cracks. Alright, stand your ground. Great, we should run. We should probably run. Mostly because I think this is what I chose last time. We gotta get out of here! The window begins to bend inward like a giant bubble about to burst, and then it cracks. Heat washes over you, and every single piece of glass in the shop shatters. What remains of the windows blow outwards with a single loud crash. So a couple things here. Ever should obviously be every. Blow should be blows. What remains blows outwards with a single loud crash. Is there anything else? You. Shatters. What remains of those blows outwards with a single loud crash. No, I'd say just those two changes. Every and blows. Erg. You pick yourself up from the floor. Someone is screaming in the distance and there is a strong smell of burning wood. The shop. It's been completely destroyed. From the rubble, a tall, dark shape rises up to tower over you. If you couldn't tell by my pause, I think that a comma is appropriate after rubble. But you do you, man. Pathetic. Even though the demon looks pretty cute right now. The humans demand fire, but flee when their wish is granted. Glowing eyes zero in on you. A tall, lanky shape standing in the middle of heat-destroyed shop. Obviously, he should be the. Or the. You get it. What is this? A little shop assistant? Or what is this? I don't know. Little shop assistant? I wonder, will you flee as well? That was the plan. What lies within your heart? Fear? Anger? ¿Por qué no los dos? The glow of those soulless eyes intensifies as you feel cold all over as its gaze pierces through you. Gaze should be gaze with Z, G-A-Z-E. How disappointing. People like you are the worst. Keeping your head bowed every day, taking the scorn of the common people like you somehow deserved it. I feel like it should be deserved, not deserved, but I guess like he is talking about things he witnessed in the past, but he's also saying it as though it's like a habitual thing. Notice I said habitual, H-A-B-I-T-U-A-L. I didn't swear. And so that makes me think it should be deserved, but yeah. I can see it all. See how the people of this town, these pathetic, weak mortals, are mocking you while you do nothing. Suggestions for this sentence. I would say, I can see it all. See how the people of this town, dash, these pathetic, weak mortals, dash, are mocking you while you do nothing. Because pathetic and weak should have a comma between them, but I can see how having that many commas in this one sentence can be a little bit confusing, so for the sake of clarity, I would suggest the dash thing that I mentioned. So I can see it all, comma, see how the people of this town, dash, these pathetic, weak mortals, dash, are mocking you while you do nothing. That's what I'd recommend. Why should their imbecilic fear weigh down on you? You are their superior. You, talent, should leave them begging at your feet, so why? You, before talent, should clearly be your, Y-O-U-R. What drives you down this path? Faith. I believe in the good of humanity. Dignity. I won't stoop to their level. Tenacity. I don't need your help to get what I want. I don't necessarily believe in the good of humanity. I believe that humanity certainly can be good, certainly has the potential, but a lot of people are utter douchebags. I mean, we learned that 4 years ago in the US, and continue to learn it today, especially recently. Tenacity, I don't need your help to get what I want. That's a very selfish thing in this case. Like, tenacity can be good, but I feel like in this case, especially with that, like, explanation at the top of the screen, I feel like that's selfish. So I'm gonna go with dignity. Won't stoop to their level. Sure, things have to change, and there are many who deserve justice, but acting with violence will make me no better than them. And I said this, I picked the same decision last time too, and I said this before, I'm saying it now. Violence, in general, is bad, and very often it is avoidable. And there are certain bits of violence that, yeah, like, just don't do it. But, like, things like protests, they happen for a reason, you know? If you're trying to protest peacefully, and it's just not working and people are mocking you for it, and then when there's a violent protest, people are like, oh, you should protest peacefully. Like, shut up! You didn't listen when people were protesting peacefully. And the system is still broken, and things have to change. And so, like, it's just that system shock to wake people up and to show people that, like, things need to happen. Things need to change for the better. That kind of thing, you know? It sucks when that has to happen. But yeah, like, when there's just so much injustice. Like, there's just all this systemic racism and everything, and like all this hate against like trans people and LGBTQ in general. Like all this other stuff, xenophobia, homophobia is just rampant in the United States and elsewhere for sure. But yeah, so I just wanted to make that a little bit of clarification here that I don't entirely agree with this. There are cases where, unfortunately, violence is the answer. You know, I don't want it to be, but when douchebag people in control make douchebag decisions repeatedly and set up douchebag policies and systems, something's got to break. There has to be another way. The creature begins to glow a soft green color. It lets out a frustrated scream and charges at you. Riz, look out! Oh no! Go back to the hell you came from, demon! The demon stumbles, Oh, actually, really quickly, I didn't check there. Was there any sort of tag? Like, name tag. Because sometimes, it's on the left, sometimes it's on the right. I think that depends on, like, where they are on the screen. But there was nothing there, and usually that's reserved for the narrator. Even if this person is not on the screen, as they're clearly not, I remember who they are. I think you should have a tag, even if it's just like the question marks, Because otherwise I feel like people could get it mixed up for like the narration text, the descriptive text, the flavor text kind of thing, instead of actual dialogue. The demon stumbles, struck from behind. It keels over, clinging to its side, where its shape is cracking like broken shards of glass. You see broad shoulders. A woman steps in front of you, shielding you from the demon. A sword gleams in her hands as she boldly faces off against this monster. Are you alright? You can immediately go for romance. That's the thing, like, it has a symbol and everything. I did not, and I will not again. I'm fine. Yes, thank the gods you arrived. I totally had that. Yes, thank the gods you arrived. But before I do, I will specify, or point out, that ALRAGHT is technically correct, but I have learned that ALL space RIGHT is more formal. I feel like that should be more of the standard in games and like writing that's to be published in any form. My personal opinion, you can look it up, like maybe that's even outdated at this point, I don't know, but I definitely have made the switch where now every time I spell alright, I do ALL space RIGHT. Up to you. I'm okay, thank you. Victoria, I'm so glad to see... Quiet, mime. You and I are going to have a talk as soon as this is over. Gulp. The demon screeches and rights itself, the bleeding gash on its side glowing like hot metal. You fool, you will pay for this! It rushes forward, but Victoria is far too quick. She swiftly strikes it down, spraying shards of darkness from the fresh wound. Ah! The glow is steadily growing stronger. You begin to feel drawn towards that light, as if it is calling out to you. I don't think you need the comma after light. I think just you begin to feel drawn towards his light as if... Because, like, it leads straight into it. Yeah. Riz? I'm feeling kind of weird. Look, the table? Again, I feel like question mark is weird. Like, I understand she's not sure what's going on, but like, is she really saying it with that rising intonation kind of thing? The alchemy table is glowing the same shade as the demon. It pulses and breathes like a living thing, lifting itself off the floor. Shifting and shaping into a new form, it suddenly flies right at you. You reach out to catch. Yeah, I think there should be something after catch, like you reach out to catch it or something like that, you know? Okay, we're gonna move that there. And we're gonna move that... Oh, did I do it? Did I already... I guess I already did it. I thought I needed a red in there too. I guess not. Light bursts from your hand. But see, I like that minigame too. Which was similar to the potion making one. I didn't spoil it entirely, but yeah. It shoots outwards in a beam, striking the nightmarish creature square in the chest. Ah! The demon writhes and shakes, the light bursting it open from within, and then it crumbles, turning to ash with a quiet sigh. There is only stillness. So obviously, and then it crumbles, like starting a sentence with and or but, you know, any of those coordinating conjunctions, it's always iffy. Kind of do it stylistically if you want, I suppose, but you could always see too if there's a better way to fit it in, some other way. In your hand is what remains of the alchemy table, a pendant of sorts. The familiar cogs and wheels still make up the main body. They are just smaller, and in the corner rests a single glowing gem, the same color as the glow from within the demon. That the third sentence rather, is really long. The familiar cogs and wheels still make up the main body. They're just smaller. I might want to put a period there, and then just, next sentence, in the corner rests a single glowing gem. You know, the same color. Just separating, I just felt like it was really long when I read it. You're feeling woozy, like your legs are about to give out from under you. What just happened? Thank the gods, it's over. Is everyone alright? The gods was mentioned when Morgan first arrived, right? Was it capitalized? I feel like it wasn't capitalized. Is everyone alright? Is everyone alright? No one's hurt? I think I'm okay, but the world does feel a tiny bit shaky. Cold steel presses against your throat. The woman, Victoria, is glaring at you. What did you do? Now, I believe that was the way that is supposed to be read, or, you know, like, in your head even. However, I would say still put a space after each period. Just what period space did period space you period space do? I see no reason to have it mushed together. That's just incorrect. Yeah, I think that's all I have to say on that. I think before I talked about too, you could technically do like what ... lowercase did ... lowercase u ... lowercase do ? But I feel like those are read a little bit differently. But like with the periods, each word ends a little bit more abruptly. Like with the periods, you know, what did you do? There's like a little more bite to it as opposed to like with an ellipsis or with multiple ellipses. It's more like, what did you do? You know, like it's just not as hard. The endings of the words, things like that. So I like it better with the periods. I just put the spaces between, you know, each of them. Not between the periods, but like what period space did period space, etc. I don't know, right? I'm the enemy here. Let's just try and stay calm. Let's try not to get ahead of ourselves with the swords, okay? I don't know what happened. The alchemy table has never done anything like that before. Victoria glares at you with suspicion, but slowly lowers her sword a little. Mime, would you be so kind as to tell me what is going on here? The words of the woman, Victoria, drip with tension. Mime looks very, very small when she steps out from behind you. So there's nothing wrong with this technically, like as far as, you know, like grammar and whatnot are concerned. But you say the words of the woman, Victoria, drip with tension. We've already had that, you know, the woman, comma, Victoria, comma, like that was used really recently. We understand that she's the woman. Like, we get it. I don't think it's needed here. It seems a little bit redundant, or like, you know, you're really drilling that in, but I think it's understandable that the words of the woman drip with tension, the woman being Victoria. Like, she just spoke. She's the one who's, like, having those biting remarks. Like, we get it. That's what I'd say. Well, you see, I'm not entirely sure myself. It felt like I had a connection with that thing for a moment. A spirit locket. Elizabeth is staring at the glowing amulet in your hands with a barely masked sadness that puts you on edge. I haven't seen such an artifact since before the war. It appears that it absorbed the power of that fiendish creature, sealing it away for good. That is good, right? We're safe. Well, that's totally the end of it then, right? Quick note that I made in the last time too. I know I'm pointing stuff out that I made like the last time I played this, even though you never will see that. I guess I'm just making, I don't know, just pointing out that I pointed it out before, whatever that means. But whelp, you shouldn't spell it like this. Whelp like this is like a puppy. You know, it's like a little whelp. If you're doing like, well, guess I better get going, you know, like that kind of thing, where it's like well, but you know, it ends differently, more abruptly with that P kind of sound. It's just W-E-L-P, no H. That's all. I'm gonna go with that is good, right? So it's over? The crisis was averted and everything's fine now, right? Victoria glares at you darkly. Everything is most certainly not fine. Use of illegal magic and binding yourself to a spirit? You are coming with me to Eridas to stand trial for what you've done. On whose orders? Elizabeth moves to stand between you and Victoria protectively. First Commander Alethea. Now, I don't know if it's Alethea or like Aletheia or something like that, but I'm going with Alethea here. Likewise, I don't know if it's Eridas. Yeah, but I went with it. Victoria twists her collar to reveal the insignia of the third mayor, and you feel dread run down your spine like ice. Of all the people to be discovered by, it just had to be a knight. Well, dang. But it was an accident, but I stopped the demon. I'm gonna go with it was an accident. But it was an accident. I didn't mean to do anything wrong, it just happened. Right, as if I haven't heard that one before. Whether you wanted to or not, it doesn't matter. Your actions have put others at risk. Your good intentions won't do anything to solve the chaos that's already been brought. You're a criminal, and I have to treat you as such. But Victoria, don't you see? This might be a good thing. What? We sealed the spirit away, didn't we? In fact, it's really lucky that we were here. I bet the shop would have burned down completely if you and Riz hadn't been here to save it. I thought it was said earlier that the shop was completely destroyed. Maybe completely was an exaggeration, but I'm pretty sure it said that. Be that as it may, it doesn't excuse the illegal use of chaotic magic, so, once again, don't use a hyphen, use an M dash. Victoria is interrupted by a strange buzzing sound coming from her jacket, she and Mime visibly pale. Of all the times. Just don't take it! Pretend we're not here! Victoria glares and pulls out a small glowing orb that is pulsating insistently with light. She closes her eyes and breathes in deep, as if saying a quiet prayer. Once again, you might not need the comma at the end there, like she closes her eyes and breathes in deep as if saying a quiet prayer. I can't say that it's wrong, but just like I mentioned before, like with another case of the as if, you might not need it. There's a flash of light and an image appears. Victoria, what is going on? You didn't call in for your last report. The image of a woman in uniform appears in a glowing light and you blink in surprise. You've heard about the crystal communicators the government uses to transmit conversations, but you've never seen one in person before. Victoria straightens up in her presence, all emotions hidden by her professional tone. My apologies, Commander. I'm afraid that the situation has become more complicated. Alithoro's mercy! Don't tell me you lost the spirit! I don't know Alithoro either. Alithoro, I don't know, it could be anything. No, Mime is still with me, but the incident now appears to have spread. A demon appeared in town tonight. I suspect there are more out there. That's just straight up a comma splice as well. A demon appeared in town tonight, period. I suspect there are more out there. Or, a demon appeared in town tonight. Have I been saying that weird? A demon appeared in town tonight, comma, and I suspect there are more out there. That would also work, but as it is right now, not correct. The number of casualties? None for now, however. And I don't like that it leads straight into however. I would like it to be a semicolon or a period and then capitalize however, and also use an M dash instead of a hyphen at the end. I mean, technically, Riz was dead for a while earlier, but you know. Click. We managed to dispose of the threat for now, but I fear this could still escalate. I know what you want to ask, Victoria, but we cannot dispatch any more knights to the area. For now, you will return to Eridas with the spirit. We will regroup from here and determine the proper course of action. I understand. You're just going to leave? What about the townspeople? That's some knightly courage. I don't remember what I did last time, honestly. I'm gonna go with this one. So you're just going to leave the town unprotected? What kind of knights would do that? Victoria, who is this? Victoria sighs heavily. Another complication. Actually, something shifted. I don't know if it was the dialogue or if it was like just Mime sprite, but something shifted. I didn't catch it. Riz here might just be the solution to your problem. Mime? No, it's alright, Victoria. Let us hear what the spirit wished to share. What the spirit wishes to share. Wishes, not wish. Thank you, ma'am. You see, Riz and I got into a little accident earlier. I won't bore you with the details, but the good news is that the two of us together are really good at sealing away those big old meanie spirits you're so worried about. Is that so? The woman turns to you. Riz, was it? What is your involvement in all of this? It was an accident, getting stabbed, protecting my home. I'm gonna go with this one. My home just got destroyed by one of these demons. An unlucky bystander then? And this magic you used to get rid of the demons, unlawful I assume? This is the case where the quotation marks that are used are done with the curly quotation marks. So I think you should be consistent and use the curly quotes wherever you can. But also, earlier, I don't remember who did it. Was it Victoria? I don't remember. Maybe it was Elizabeth. Someone put single quotes around a word. Like, it was the same use as this with get rid, but it was single quotes. So be consistent with that as well. If you're going to use that to, like, emphasize things, like, get rid of the demon, that kind of thing, do the double quotes as well with the other thing. Like, don't use the single quotes. And the nice thing, if you use double quotes, is that if you then need to use quotes within quotes, or quotation marks within quotation marks, you can use the single quotes instead of the double quotes. There you go. Very. Click. But no one got hurt. We just sealed away the one who was wreaking havoc in the shop here. I'm confident that if we just stay in town and investigate, then we'll find a solution to the problems you're having in no time. The woman, Alethea, chuckles, but it is a mirthless sound that sends chills down your spine. So, like, this is another case, again, you have, like, the woman, Alethea, like, I'd say stop doing that in general. Like, once their names are given, just say their name. Or just say the woman, and then let us figure it out, But you don't need to do both every time. It's weird. So just Alethea chuckles, but it is a mirthless sound that sends chills down your spine. That to me is much better of a sentence. A lovely proposition, but tell me this, Spirit. If I allow you to roam free, how can I trust that you won't just run away? Again. Because I'm so nice? I cannot trust you. There's as much more at stake here than mere townsfolk. It is a risk I will not take. Obviously, either there's much more at stake here, or there is much more at stake here. Not theirs is. Just pick one or the other. I'll vouch for the child, Commander. Elizabeth steps forward, having been strangely silent until now. Alethea looks startled. Elizabeth? It has been so long. I feel fate is playing some cruel trick on us, adding you to this unholy mix. Victoria and mine both look completely flabbergasted that the old store owner would know Alethea, and how familiar they speak to one another. I would want to put by before how. Because otherwise it's like Victoria and mine both look completely flabbergasted how familiar they speak to one another. And it's just like by or with. I can't say a preposition is necessary, but I think that it would be helpful. So, it would make me feel more comfortable at least. You must admit, you were curious to know how your teacher came to know one of the Empire's commanders so closely. Perhaps. The young one is my apprentice. I can vouch for the contents of his heart, and, if you will let me, take full responsibility for what we both know must be done. Did you see her eyes change, Alethea's? If not, feel free to go back 5 seconds, and then watch it again. It is not fair for me or anyone to force upon you such a burden. You have already done enough. And I shall do this as well, unless you wish to stop me. Look at that smirk, Elizabeth. You coy girl. The woman laughs, but the sound rings hollow. Oh, I know better than to challenge you. Very well, Victoria. Your new mission will be to stay in town guarding these two as you track down any remaining demons and neutralize them. You will do what you must in order to keep a low profile. This mission cannot fail, and the truth cannot be revealed to the public. It's weird to me to have cannot as one word in the same sentence as cannot as 2 words. I feel like there should be some consistency. Like, I understand the feeling that there are, like, 2 different ways to use them, or, like, they have 2 different, like, tones to them, but, the only reason I would really want it to be, like, separate here is if you were going to, like, italicize the not after truth. Like, the truth cannot be revealed to the public. But even then, even if you have cannot as one word, you could still italicize just half of the word. Like, you can do that. You have the power to do that. So I would want to make that cannot one word as well. Just for the sake of being consistent. I understood. Wait, what? Don't I get a say in this? I'm just an alchemist. You want me to do what? I'm not a knight. I'm just an alchemist. Oh, not even that. I'm just an apprentice. How can I possibly be of any help? I agree. It is an unconventional situation. Normally, I would never agree to anything like this, but the situation is dire. And whatever you may think of your abilities, this first victory is proof of something else. I need you to rise to this challenge. Can you do that? I think a period should be after challenge, and can you do that should be its own sentence, just capitalized can. Yup. This choice will affect your relationship with your companions going forward. I want to help if I can as kind. I don't want this as an X. I want to be kind. I mean, because, like, he says he was just an alchemist, like, he was expressing concern. That doesn't mean he doesn't want to help. That's just like, what can I do? I'm just an alchemist. Not even that, I'm an apprentice, you know? Doesn't mean he doesn't want to help how he can. These creatures are obviously dangerous. If there's any way I can help stop them, so no more people will get hurt, then I'll do my best. You have a good heart, Riz. I wish you luck. The image disappears and a tense silence falls over the group. That went well, right? No one answers. This might be, I think this is when I ended, yeah. And that's how you became the unlikely defender of Anemone Valley. Yep, that's where I ended it, so I'm just gonna hit escape here. I'm gonna save in file 2. And I just want to see. Oh my gosh, 125. It took me the exact same time, down to the minute, to record this far. Oh wow, okay. Cool. Anyway, let's exit the title screen now, so you get some music in the background while I talk about this. Yeah, this was part of the demo of Arcadia Fallen, The Legend of the Spirit Alchemist. Obviously, this was not the entire demo. I mean, maybe it would have ended, like, within a few more bits of dialogue, but it seemed like it was starting a new scene, so I just quit without going any farther forward, you know, or any further forward, I'd say. But yeah, so overall, like, I'm really impressed with this demo. I like the art style. I think that, like, both the sprites and the background, I think, are drawn nicely. I think that, like, the dialogue boxes... Oh, it's just, okay, it's just immediately back to this. Wow, we barely got to the... I don't want you to sing right now, sorry. I'm talking. Thank you, though. I like the dialogue boxes and, like, the name tags and everything. I think it gets a little confusing sometimes when the name tag jumps back and forth from, like, the left side of the screen to the right side of the screen. It's something I could get used to. But I can see the point of it for clarifying, like, if two strangers are on the screen at the same time, then you'll understand which one is which, because it, you know, it correlates with where they're standing. However, like, that being said, how often are you going to have two complete Stop it! Stop it! Here, I pressed, now I'm on this. That should do it, okay. How often are you going to encounter two strangers on the screen at the same time, you know? And the issue that I have with it switching back and forth is then, like, you know, if there's no tag, that means it's narration. Or I guess maybe sometimes if you just have no idea who the character is and they're not on screen yet, like I think happened with Victoria when she was first introduced. Or not even introduced, but, like, she was first talking, technically. And so, you know, sometimes if I'm only watching the left corner, because I'm only watching the left side initially because that's where words appear, you know? It can be just slightly jarring for a moment to then have to look to the right to see if there's a tag there, and then to be like, okay, there's no tag, which means it's this kind of dialogue or whatever, you know? So, just a thought. Maybe that's something else you could include in the options menu. I don't know. But a thought there, yeah. I think that the sounds are pretty good, the music's pretty good. I think there are some times where you could just pause the music, like, to increase the tension, like before you encounter the shop on fire, things like that. And there might have been a couple times, but I feel like they passed by too quickly. Like, there was one line where it was silent maybe, and then I clicked through. There are times where it's like, it's tense and quiet now. Like, even the text is something like that, you know? But there's clearly music playing, and I'm like, it's not that quiet, you know? Things to that nature, but all in all, I think it's pretty cool. I'm just having an animated intro, that's really neat. Having, you know, voice acting coming, especially with some big names, or at least they were, like, in bigger games. I think that's pretty awesome. Like, for a debut game for your studio, I think this is great. So obviously, again, the Kickstarter has already been funded. Again, the goal was like 13,000, and they were 15,000 when I checked today. And if you're watching this the day I uploaded it, there should be like 16 or 15 days left on the Kickstarter. So if you want to jump on, if you want to get, like, you know, the digital art book, or if you want to just get the game immediately when it comes out, or be involved in the beta, or I don't remember all of them. Like, get your name in a tavern, like, immortalized forever. Or if you pay like $1,000, there was one where it was like, create your own character to tell an epic tale. And that could be from, like, Dungeons & Dragons or just any other story you have or whatever, as long as it fit within the world, which I thought was a cool option. But yeah, if you just want one of those perks, like, go to the Kickstarter, again in the description below, pick what you want, and yeah. I hope that my grammatical stuff, my ramblings, which I thought I was being faster about, but I took the exact same amount of time apparently this playthrough as I did last time. I just hope those were helpful to you. Lots of things to consider. Some things I'm not sure about, and those you should just look up. But ultimately, like, regarding everything, just pick what you want to pick, and change what you will. But I certainly wouldn't lie to you. If I was ever wrong in a case, it's because I was misinformed, and I would love to be told myself so that I could correct things, or correct myself in the future and be better about correcting things, or other people in the future as well. But the point is, like, everything that I offered is just my attempt to try to offer what I can to make the game a little bit better. Because there's not a whole lot else that I can do. You know, like, I am an English major, I am currently in the master program and everything. And my particular emphasis is, like, creative writing and, like, kind of technical editing, you know? Those are just more the sides I'm interested in. I'm interested in those a lot more than I'm interested in, like, literature. I don't care for, like, the classics and for analyzing and all that stuff, you know? I enjoy writing for fun, like fiction and fantasy and stuff, and I enjoy grammar and that kind of thing. So I hope that it was somewhat helpful. And I hope that you guys enjoyed this too, this playthrough. Again, like, I recorded it a second time, but I felt that it was worth it. Like, this game didn't need my promotion. It's already been funded on the Kickstarter, but they reached out to me, and I wanted to provide them with it anyway. And so hopefully they appreciate it. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this. If you want to check out the demo for yourself, if you want to check out the Kickstarter, check the description below. Thank you for watching. You know, leave a like if you would like. If you're not subscribed, I'm surprised you found this video. Feel free to subscribe if you want. But yeah, I will see about getting other videos up soon. Honestly, my backlog is, like, basically out. I had Dragon Age and, like, Darkside Detective, and I think that's it. So I need to record other stuff. Otherwise, I'm going to be taking a break. But if you didn't know, quick little update here at the end. I'm just going to sneak this into the video. Yeah, I'm still in the master program as a full-time student. I now have a full-time job that I started like 4 days ago, and so, like, I'm still in the being overwhelmed with information process, and I'm trying to figure that out, and things have been really stressful lately. But yeah, alright. Love you guys. Take care. We're gonna end this video really unceremoniously.